Ciro shock and awe valve kit is an excellent way to light up your motorcycle, and it has expansion opportunities such as the saddlebag lights underneath and the fork illuminators out front. But if you have the 23 and up CVO Road Glide or the 24 up Road Glide, you can also do this in your headlight with the shock and awe evolved Road Glide Headlight kit. Let's get to how to install it. It's really quick. Let's get to it. As you can see, it's a pretty simple kit. You've got 6 LED pods, a 48-inch extension, 3 8-inch extensions, some tape to adhere the LEDs down, and some keepers here to keep the wires nice and tidy. So with that, we're going to get into this. Now, I'm assuming here that you already have installed the shock and awe evolved controller. If you haven't, there's a video that shows the full installation of that. In this installation, we're going to show you how to run this back to that shock and awe controller underneath the seat. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. I'll show you how to do that. So let's get right to it. So the first thing we're going to do is pre-assemble some of this stuff. So take 4 of the pods here, and we're just going to plug them right directly into each other. Make sure they're snapped in and properly seated. So you'll end up with that. This is going to wrap around on the top of the light here. And then, so you do 4, and then an 8-inch on each end. There we go. Now we're ready to lay this up onto the bike. These will go on the end of each one, but we'll plug those in at our install. Now before we put this on, you'll notice there's a male and a female side. You want to have the male side pointing back towards the controller, and that's very important because otherwise it won't work very well. So we'll have the female side out, the male side pointing back towards the controller before we lay this on here. All right, you want to find the dead center of the fairing right here, and there's a little knob right here. You can see where it plugs in. That's pretty much dead center. And just to make things easy, so you don't have to hold it, we're going to take our LEDs, again, making sure that the male section is going back. And we're going to get the middle here, and we're going to line this connector up with that approximately. And we're going to move this out about halfway through. There's a little flat spot right here. About halfway through, we're just going to move that out like that. And I'm just going to put a piece of tape on this just to hold this while we locate the rest of these LEDs. So you're going to just run these down and around the back side. Again, keep them about in the center of this last little area right here, and that'll give you the most lighting effect and allow the light to go in there. And then we're simply, one at a time, just going to take our piece of tape off. All right. And we're going to line that up so it sits about straight. Put the tape down. There we go. You want to make sure to kind of snug it up in between the sides there so that it looks something like that. See how that has a nice form to it? And then I'll allow it to stick down well for a long time. So you just move down the line and do the same thing. I'm actually going to apply this one first. Get that right around the middle there. There we go. You don't want it to have it come past this because then you're going to see the tape. But if you do get a little bit on there, you can move it back a little bit like that. We'll put the third one in here. And on these, I'm going to grab a little screwdriver and show you a little trick to slide that in there. So I'm just using a regular screwdriver, and what you want to do is just kind of barely stick it on the edge of one of these. Just barely. You don't want to get it in too deep. But this will allow you to kind of have a second hand here. So we're going to do this, and we're going to slide that in carefully. It'll help us locate it. There we go. And pull that out. I'm going to push that down. Then you can use it on the other side to stick down tape. There we go. And that one's in there nice. We'll do the same thing over on this side. You can also use an X-Acto knife or anything like that, just something thin and flat that allows you to slide that light in. Again, I'm just centering the LED on the tape just about. I'm going to take that, just a little bit right there. Use that to tie that down nicely. As you can see, I got a little tape over the edge here. You can just trim that and peel it right off. So as you can see here, sometimes it's tricky to get it up in there, and once this tape sticks, it sticks really well. There's a little edge right here that you might see just a hair of, so we're just going to take this and score this piece of tape and peel it off. There you go. So if you get a little over the edge, don't worry about it. You can just score it and tape it off and peel it off. It'll work just fine. Now our next step is we're going to run this around, and we're going to run our another LED this way right into this area down in here. So we're going to plug this light in here, make sure it's securely plugged. Now we're going to run the wire loosely around like this. You want to take note of where your first LED is, because you want to get right in this area here. We're going to come down diagonally. There's a little body line that you can kind of see in the lens. That's where the fairing ends, so you don't want to get past that. So we're going to go inside of that area with the LED. We'll take care of this in a minute, but then we'll tape it on right there. All right. Now this is where your little screwdriver might come in handy, just to press that tape in nicely, like so. Wherever there's a flap, make sure it goes around. And you want to make sure that this little connector's behind this edge as well. And then everything will fit back together okay. With that, you can see this is up a little bit, so we're just going to trim this little piece off here, peel that off. We gave you extra tape, so don't feel like it's going to come off or anything. You got more than you need. Peel that off just like so. We're going to do the exact same thing now on the other side, and then we'll run the wire back and test it, make sure it's doing what we want it to do, and I'll show you a couple of different ways of attaching that back there. So same process, follow that wire around, get that right where you need it, about there, perfect. There we go, that's taped on there nicely. We'll trim our light to this body line here. There we go. Now that's good to go. Last step before we run it all the way back is you're going to plug this 8-inch extension into it right there. Plug the right way. With this plugged in, you can just let this hang. This is going to run down around here and back like this towards the rest of the system. Okay, we've got our 48-inch cable right here. We're going to have the female side pointing forward, and we have to run this up under the tank and underneath the seat, and we're going to plug this one on this bike into channel 3. Now let me show you a couple things. I've actually already pre-run this, so we can show you where you need to have it come out. So this is a CVO Model ST, so this has the lower fairing here. If you have it, you want to come up just above that. If you don't have this, you just come just to the bottom of the fairing, where that's going to be, and then you're going to want to plug this in, just like so, like that, and you want to have it kind of sit around there, and it'll be out of the way when you put the fairing back on. So you already have the shock and awe evolved set on here and you want this to just be the end of one of the strings, you can also plug this into the end of one of your channel 1 or 2 that's running forward, and then it'll act as part of one of the channels. Personally, I like to have the light kind of on its own channel because you can have it light up by itself and it's a little more controllable that way. So that's why we ran it all the way back and plugged it into channel 3. Now, if you haven't seen the video of how the full shock and awe install goes, as I said before, we have another video that shows you the full install with the controller, hooking it up to the turn signals and the brakes, all that good stuff. So there's another video for that, but this is basically the setup to get this one going. So let's turn this on that I have plugged in and see what it looks like. Okay, now let's turn this thing on and check it out. And we're gonna use the manual controller and just hit the on button. It's gonna go through a startup mode. It'll just do a little animation, then it's gonna go to a green fade and sweep. Let's see if that works. Yep, there's our startup. And there's our green fade and sweep. And make sure we'll turn that up and down with the controller, a little faster, a little slower. We can go to the next one. Okay, so everything, make sure they're all on. Yep. Everything's working well, so I just like to do that before we button up the fairing, just to make sure everything's plugged in well and the tape is secure. So we'll check that, and then we'll put the fairing back on and be able to really look at what we got going on there. All right, fairing's on, everything's put back together. Last screw to tighten here. There we go. Let's fire this up and run through some of the controls with it. You can also do it with the app, but we're just going to do it right now. So you can see we get it started. Now it's got a green kind of a fade. As we go through, I can change by just pressing the knob on the controller and manual to flashing. I can make it flash faster or slower. Again, we just want to go through these to make sure it all works. You get a nice fade there. We can go there. That's fading in and out of colors. Yeah, so it appears everything's working properly. So as you can see, it went in pretty good, pretty easy to do. The trickiest thing is getting the fairing on and off, and that's not even that hard anymore. So with that, if you need more information about the shock and awe evolved system, how to install the total system, what's available for your bike, go to Ciro3D.com. Also, of course, check out our YouTube channel, say subscribe to that, because we have many videos about this system that goes into deep detail. So we'll have links on that below. I'm Ken with Ciro. Thanks for watching.